Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. Guys, happy to see you all here. We had some people get sick. Sean was sick, and Ben might be coming along soon. I don't know where Gerald is yet, but we'll soon find out. Anyway, I have something prepared for everybody, guys. Real quick, for everybody who joined the membership, we right now have the fireball emoji on there. So feel free to put it up, man, and have fun with it. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and let's get started. Basically, what I wanted to look at was this right here, and we talked about it on Monday a little bit. So, let's go with this a little bit here. What we have in here is what would look like a AC flyback in the center, and you could consider it that, or like a Tesla coil, like Sean would normally build, would be the same type of build here. We have the bowl at the bottom. We have the two tuning forks on the side. And it basically tells you that if you rub the rim of the bowl itself, it'll be resonance in there. Now, resonance in a cavity, which would be the bowl, would be a resonance chamber. So if it is like a flyback or something like that, then it could be made of stone. It could be very much made of granite. And you have a divider in each one of them. And as long as the granite touch each other, they can pull water into it. And then if you're using the energy we use from the one wire energy, man, you have it right there. You have the flower of life. You have everything that you need. So I thought it was important to point that out. I know with some of this other stuff, it's like symbolism, like the heads on the tuning fork, stuff like that. But it's still important to recognize that the hands are on the tuning forks and on the centerpiece there, which we'll just call like a mini Tesla coil, but they're also on the outside rim of the bowl itself. So it's telling you what it's doing. It's not lying to you. It's up front. It tells you what it's doing, and it's exactly how it works. When we go and break each system down to what it does, it's showing you the same thing. So I thought that was really cool. We say hi to everybody out there. What's up, guys? What's up, Mike? Brandon, what's up? Man, everybody's here this morning. This afternoon, I should say. All right, guys, let's go in a little further here. This, we're never doing enough. Let's look at this one. Okay, now I'm just going to tell you the truth right here. That center right there, the Aken, or however you want to say it, the Egyptian cross, it's a symbol of resonance. And when you get the two tuning forks that you rub the outside rim of the bowl, you're getting resonance in it. That's why that's in the center. So when you see it from here on out, it's a symbol of resonance. It's also a symbol of frequency, because frequency is resonance, right? It's just doubled up. So, and it oscillates to one another. So please remember that when we looked at that, we went over the bowl. Okay, now, you see, Egyptians are real good at this. They keep repeating everything. Now, we saw in the beginning, we saw this. Let's just look at it real quick. You see the hands going here, and they're going from the center right here, where you have a resonating Tesla coil. Now, we see the resonance there. Now we see with the hands again doing the same thing. They're trying to portray the same message here as they do it throughout their writing. Sometimes it's written without, sometimes it's written with it. And it depends on what the depiction is before or after it is what they're trying to get at here. But it doesn't change the meaning of what it is. So let's go a little deeper. We have it here. Clear as day. They're telling you right here that center coil now has the arms to it, to the tuning forks, with the resonance right there. It couldn't be any clearer. There's the bowl. We have every bit of what we were looking for. They showed it from one depiction to the next. They told you a story. Now the story here is paying off because they're telling you everything at once. They knew exactly what resonance was. They knew how to build it, and they knew exactly what they needed it for. So now let's go a little deeper, shall we? When you see the symbol right there for the resonance, and you see plants and crops, and you see bees. Bees are attracted to resonance. Plants and crops go faster. Anybody see plasma channel? He says you put in plasma, but do you need the plasma? No. The plasma is a conduit to bring frequency to plants. Plasma itself is a hindrance. You need the frequency. That's why the one wire energy was so important, because it brings you the frequency to the water. Now you can put the water in the frequency, which goes into the plant and grows the plant. That's the understanding here. So we see it depicted here again, same thing. And then, obviously, here we go again. We got the tower, we got the resonance, we got the tuning fork. Every time they depict it, they're giving you the same answer. There we go again. There's the Tesla tower. There's the resonance. Now they're saying plasma ball or something up here. Guys, it's not changing what they're doing. They're still showing you the same thing. This one I like. They always talk about the Baghdad battery. Well, there it is right there, right in their Egyptian writing. They told you about it a long time ago. There's no mistaking it. That's what it is. They're showing you it produces energy in between the both of them. Here we go. All right, I'm going to take a few comments real quick and take a look real quick. Oh, yeah. Happy holidays. What's up? Let's see. Reeds and rivers oscillating. Yeah, it could be. Source and tools. Let's see. Sort this. Yeah. Guys, it's all in here. So let's go back into it a little bit. Now, again, Egyptian cross. Here's what's going to trip you out. Everything in Egypt that comes down to something like this, you want to look at in a certain way. This right here is a mirrored image. Some of their best stuff is this. It's a science formula. So if I took it and I turned it 180 degrees and straightened it up on the center mount, now I'm going to put one over the other. This symbol right here now shows you what's in the core of our Earth. It's a fairly simple idea. We have the chamber on the top. We have the chamber on the bottom. We also have the vortex going through the top and bottom. And we have the center divider. It also tells you in here, these right here are crystal structures. Should be very easy to understand why they would depict this in here, because crystal is what makes this thing go. But it takes water and energy to make the crystal go. So they're telling you plenty of stuff here. They're even telling you right here is your magnetosphere. They're telling you how it works, exactly how they depict it. The funny thing is the Mayan calendar depicts it this way as well, with the top part closed mostly, the bottom part open. They show the same thing. So here we go. When you remove the rest of it, what do you have left? You have left the Holy Cross. It's funny how they put all this stuff together and they put it in different pictures, but it's all the same thing when we go to look at it and break it down and evaluate it. They're doing the same things over and over and over again in every single structure, depiction, everything you want to look at. They keep doing the repeater and we're not listening. Well, I'm hoping after today when you see it, we all start listening. So here's a better shot of it. You can see the inside. It's clearly a crystal form right there on the blue. And they're showing 3 what could be plasma balls. You could take them as water drops. I'm not exactly sure which one they are, but you can figure that out. I'm just saying that it's in there. It's telling you everything you need to know. Now, this is a very interesting picture. So before I get to that, I'm gonna just get some comments here. Yeah, it's the Holy Trinity. So it's also the what was that? I'll think about it. Unity, or I can't think of the name of it. I'll come back to it. Anyway, let's get to this picture here. This is the Pyramid of Egypt, and they're trying to tell you something a little bit different about it. Now, for those of you who have seen me talk about the hairpin circuit, there's always some part I leave out. And you can probably tell what it is by the picture you see here. You see, they knew that this energy imparts itself by frequency onto the body. They knew that this is how Nikola Tesla probably looked at it when he looked at the pyramid. This is probably what he saw. Now, is everything 100% accurate here? I don't know. I find it very fascinating that people would equate it the same way that the hairpin circuit's equated. If you ever read the description of it, and I would ask that you do because I'm not allowed to say it on YouTube, but it clearly shows you what he was using it for. And he just flat out tells you. Now, this depiction shows you the same thing. But there's another part. You know, Joe and I talked about the light body. If you look at the guy's eyes right there, you see something coming over it. Now, let me see if I can't get to it. Structure. You start to see structure imparted, but it goes right into where they say the eye is in our brain. So what do you think they're doing? Well, this could very well be activating the light body. You probably need mana for that, but it's kind of where it goes, isn't it? You have crystalline structure in your brain right now. If water communicates to this energy through it, you can connect the dots and see exactly where you're going with it. It's a very interesting picture in the way they show it. If you turned it to the right, you'd probably see plasmoids. So let me see if I can't flip that for you. Now let's look right here at the center. Isn't that interesting? Right there. It makes you wonder sometimes, are we looking at everything the right way? Or are we looking at it the wrong way? That could be right there. The plasmoid structure right there. We know that there's a dielectric in there. That would be also Steinmann's right there. So let's go on to the next one. Oh, this is a fun one. All right, I'm going to check the chat real quick. How many of you out there think that looks like a face? If that's your understanding of what this picture is. Okay. So for anybody who thought this was a face, it's not. So I know that ancient aliens like to say, "Oh my God, there were aliens." It's not what this picture is at all. Okay. Let's see. Let's get a few more. Looks like a magnetic field. Well, let's go to the next one and see if I have it here. If we turn them this way, it looks a little more structured, right? Now this, which way does the Earth turn? I guess is what you would want to know. Is the center of the Earth this way or that way? And this is what I see. Every time that I look at that structure and that thing people call a face, this is what I see. Infinity loop. That was the word I was looking for right there. The infinity symbol. That right there is what I believe is at the core of our Earth. That structure right there. Now, Let's go one step further. We see it right there in the Egyptian cross when we went ahead and redid it. Now we can see it right there. Man, does that fit perfectly? There's an understanding for you. We subconsciously probably all know it's there. We see it. We don't recognize everything for what it is right away. But this is why we should start to look at it this way. This right here is telling us something more of what's going on. It's been all over our cultures, and we're just not putting it together yet. So it's about time that we do. We need to get this stuff straightened out because they've been telling it to us for a long time. We've had technology to understand this forever. We don't apply it. That's a problem. Star Spirit? Yeah. I don't know that it's any of that. I think it's what I said it is. I think that they were trying to depict something more than an alien being. Oh, frequency. I wanted to go over this with you because this right here, when you look at the bottom one, this is where people sometimes get tripped out, right? This right here is one frequency. But if I break it into two, now I get a half frequency of the bottom one since it's broken. But what if I want to break it again? It's the same frequency from end to end, but I'm breaking it down now. Again and again. This is what I mean by multiplication or division by 2. You can also do it by 3. When you look at your frequency, if I said I wanted 880 hertz, but I had a Tesla coil, I would need to come up with 426 kilohertz in order to equal that same frequency. Now, it won't be the exact frequency, so you won't get an exact match, but you will get sympathetic resonance. That means that if you put one Tesla coil over here, and then you start something that's at 880 hertz on the other side of the room, that Tesla coil will light up. And that's basically what this means. This is how you should understand resonance and frequencies so that you can match things. This is how I do it. This is also how a lot of other people do it. It's a real simple understanding. Now, what changes? Your harmonics change. Your octaves change. So if you want to get it balanced, you have to balance those along with the frequencies of each thing you have. It's a very, very important thing to learn. All right. This right here. Now, this is one of those things that directly goes into kind of our whole thing that we do. Testikiba, if I'm not mistaken. When you look at the thing on the right with the number 3 next to it, that's all I see. Testikiba. I hope I say that name right. But we did a episode on that machine, and you see the cylinders one inside the other right there, right? And you see them putting the wires in different parts of the cylinders. Well, that's what that machine does. Now, they can have wire around them. They can not have wire around them. Or they could just be like a solid metal. But it does the same thing. It's going to create energy in there at different levels. Now, if you took the center and said that's the number 2 of my Tesla coil and I put another one down there, guess what? Now we're getting into some of the free energy stuff that we look at. We're looking at Don Smith here. Now, it's not exactly his, but the understanding would be close to the same. We can have one coil with another coil around it. We can see that one probably is double the size of the other. Now we start to come to an understanding. Don Smith did this by doing multiple number 1 coils on the outside. But he also made one shorter, then he doubled the frequency to put in the next one. Well, that was just the frequency I showed you the one before. Now we can understand it a little better, guys. It's not hard. It's all out there. This is something that they've done before. We're just rediscovering it, which is awesome, which means now we can use it to our benefit. Now we can get somewhere with it. You see, I wanted to take this thing right here, the center one, the smaller one we're looking at, and I wanted to divide it into the sections. Based on the division of the frequency, I wanted to divide it into 6 different sections. Put it down the center of the Tesla coil, then create an energy well out of it. Not much different than the one on the right here where you see the different ones. Maybe just more of a flat plane energy well where we build each one so I can put something in the center of it and pull the energy out. By the way, one thing I did not show yet with this energy, it loves soft iron. Loves soft iron and copper together. Absolute amplification of the energy as you pull it out. Soft iron, copper. Thin copper layers wrapped around soft iron. Just like an AC flyback, energy can be put in there in levels. We can really start to make this thing happen now. That's one of the things that's on my workbench right now. I have that center rod that's about to go in there. We're going to see if each field individually will multiply when we put something down the center, or if we have to put the diode structure. Now, I have created windings for a diode structure for wire. It's 50-50. Like it's not the best diode in the world, but it'll give you 50% of what was in the level before it. So it's a start. So we're well on our way to starting to figure this stuff out, guys. We can get over unity out of this thing. We just have to try a little harder, which is okay. I'm good with trying a little more. If you guys are, we'll just keep trying new things. And so we're going to fail. You know, for every one success, you fail 100 times. That's about the rule. It happens to me often. So I think that was about it that I had on this one that I wanted to show you. Oh, I do want to show you another one. So let me stop sharing. And I want to say hi to Ben. Ben, you there?
Hello, how you doing? Hear me?
What's
Hello?
up?
Oh, hey, I'm just finishing up eating. How you guys doing?
Doing great, man.
Awesome.
I saw you there. I wanted to check in real quick. I had a little bit more to go, but I wanted to say hi.
Yeah. It's good to be here. Glad I made it.
Right on, man. Right on. All right, we're going to go over this one that we went last time, Ben.
Mhm.
I'm going to kind of go over this one more time because I want to add to it at the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like a refresher, and then you're gonna add like an addendum or an addition to it.
Yeah, basically what we went over on Monday, so everybody understands.
Okay, so we're doing a recap, everybody.
Yeah, just a little bit. So this right here is
Oh, that's cool.
that's Bob Greenyers right there. He was talking about the Tesla Tower, the Wardenclyffe Tower. And he was talking about the two top parts as plasmoids. And when he overlaid the same geometry that he usually uses, he could see this structure in it. Now, here's the cool thing. This right here is the structure for geometry and musical. Okay? The fifths, the fourths, everything. We're going to get our octaves out of this. Now, I want to do this. Now, look at the structure. Looks eerily familiar, doesn't it? So let's look at it from here. We know that we see the 3 circles here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, we also see in here the little circle. What's the difference in this on the left versus this here on the right? You see, the left is a monopole. The right has a north and south. That's the only difference. But when you overlay them, you can start to see that we're still dealing in octaves. We're still dealing in the harmonics. We're still doing the same frequencies. So it's going to require those things in order to make those plasma orbs work. We all know this when we talk to Gerald. Gerald does this all the time. He tells you in his coil that he's able to, and this would tell why, because he makes a geometry coil. This right here, we talked about the football briefly. The geometry coil was very simple. Well, in some ways it's simple. In some ways it's so difficult I can't even explain it. But let's just go with the easy one here. At the top, 396. Then it correlates to the next part of the winding at 639. Then it goes back over to this other side, which is 963. What is missing here? You see, this is in 2 dimensions, but we all know that it's going to come out to 3 dimensions. You're missing the one right in the center. You got to create a Merkaba in some of this stuff, so you absolutely have to have one in the center. That would probably be your 369. That's the one we're missing. So let's just understand this, though. That only comes in the center where there is no winding. That's the center hole where you pull your energy out. It's where your energy well is. Now, inside this winding, let's just see if I can't get my mouse over the right spot here. As you look at it, this right here, this point, and on this one, it's probably this one. These are where your scalar field are going to come out of. Right there. Before the next wire crosses it. In the next winding, your scalar field comes out in those windings. And we have another field. Now they're in different layers. For every layer, you make another scalar field. That's why our Tesla coil, we wanted to do it the way we were doing it, because we want each field to build one on top of the other, just like we would a geometry coil. Now, it won't be as powerful as a geometry coil, but it's the understanding. One field over the next. When you wind this, there is a way to wind it to make a diode so that it'll amplify one way like a voltage doubler. That's what we want. That's the secret to this thing. It's not a very easy secret to find. So, we have that. This is what I want to show you. Every time we get to that football looking thing and you want to look it up, right? This is what we see. You're always going to get a depiction of God or Jesus. One or the other will be in there. Let me just tell you something. A lot of this stuff has to do with faith and religion. Now, I'm not telling you which one or whatever. All I'm saying is it really does. For a lot of us out there, we believe, so we understand it. Some people may take and have a problem with this. I have zero problem with this. Big man upstairs always gives you everything that you ever wanted. You just didn't know what it was you wanted. But I want to go back one and I want to show you something. Even when you look at it like that, there it is. There's the football right in there. That's where it shows you it is. Clear as day. This is what they're trying to describe. When you see that, okay, just understand this as well. The Ark of the Covenant has 2 ends, and if they were plasma balls on both sides that they created, you're going to get the big man upstairs right in the center. So don't be shocked if you see it if we ever build it. This right here, again, this is a musical scale. I just wanted to show you this. You see the circles within the circles here, and it's telling you fourths, fifths, stuff like that. This is where all of those fraction comes in there. That fractal geometry, right there. That's what you want to look at. It's creating all of it in there. Again, we showed this the other day, and it shows it in there. There's your DNA strand. So if I said transmutation, if we're putting a DNA strand in there, you could do the math. We have something special going on. There's your football structure right there. There's your triangle. Again, the Almighty and all the other stuff that works. This right here is something that we should all look at with reverence, because one day we're all going to be faced with the understanding of this. And if you do understand it in this way, you're going to be much better off. You can't take it from it, just like you can't take other parts from it. Just like you couldn't take healing from a crystal if you wanted to. They're intertwined, and this is just one of them. By the way, and I don't have it here, so I'm just going to tell you. When it comes to crystal structure, you have to look at the exact structure of it. You go, okay, well, how many sides does it have on the inside? What does it create when you put the bonds together? Now you have geometry. You go, oh, well, what if I use the frequency of that geometry? Well, now we're starting to think. What if I use the octave based on that geometry pattern? Even better. What if I understood that one side was magnetic? Hey, all on it. What if I understood the one wire energy actually can communicate with the crystal to resonate it? Oh, way over the top. Okay? Please understand that all these things are necessary in order to get this stuff to work right. That's why I'm showing them to you. Because we think of a crystal and we don't realize you take that same crystal, you put it in water, 759, 359, whatever you're getting out of it, depending on the crystal structure, you're going to get an amount of energy out of it. Now, it's millivolts. It's not a lot. But what is it telling you? It's telling you that it was not activated before it was in the water. It now is activated by the water. Now you can set up communication with it or impart energy out of it from a source that matches it. Now, why does this matter? If crystal is a natural grown structure on Earth, which it is, and there is a lot of it, there's caves of it, it's telling you that the Earth itself is putting out this type of energy if the stuff is growing properly. What is it also telling you? That sometimes you have to put this stuff in microwaves in order to get it to build out. Now, this is the understanding you should know. We talk about electrons on this channel. One's positive, one's negative. Please understand your fields themselves will work the same way. You're going to get an equal and opposite reaction, a yin and a yang. That's the way it works. You're going to be able to build crystal. You're also going to be communicating with crystal. So we see it all the time and we don't realize it. If we have energy in the ground, we're in a hot zone that we live in. Then we get to the outside there and it makes another barrier when we get out to the atmosphere, right? Well, if you think about it in the ways of negative energy and positive energy, it makes all the sense in the world, right? We're living in a positive environment. We're not living in the negative environment. And then both are on the outside in order to create the barrier because it's all time dilation. So it all interacts. The frequency of the crystal, the energy the crystal communicates with it is the energy of the Earth itself. Now it should start to make sense why we want to work on this energy a lot more. This one wire energy is more significant than you think. It's because it takes that dielectric from the outside, the magnetic field from the inside, and takes that dielectric and shoves it inside of that magnetic field. It makes the opposite. You see, I call it an inverse because I don't want to call it the opposite. And here's why. When I say opposite, you say negative. It's negative, and you think DC system negative. That's an absolute fail. That's the wrong way to look at it. It's an inverse because it inverts the field inside of the other field. That's the right way to look at it. Now the energy changes is different. Guys, this isn't something that's made up. This is something that's a proven fact. I'm not the only one that's found this. There's people out there selling machines on this for healthy water that have already found it. Now, you can say what you want about them, but when you start to get into the people who actually understand this and do this, you're going to see the same thing. They're going to tell you it's going to impart frequency in the water. It's going to be able to take the water and put it together. But it's not with some electrolyte. It's not with some other thing. It's based on the Tesla coil energy. There's one gentleman, I can't remember the name, but he puts it out there 100%. It is the energy that you're using to do it. It is not these cheap substitutes to do it. You cannot put some kind of electrolyte in there and get this energy. It does not work. It's an absolute joke. It's the way to go is this energy here. Water clustering. You're right. So I just wanted to tell you guys that so we understood what was going on here, why it's so important to do this. So if you say anti-gravity, well, if you're in hot energy field, what's anti-gravity at that point? I've already told you that the inverse is cold energy, right? Or negative energy, whichever you want to call it, which just basically means room temperature and below. So what does that mean? Well, you can't have anti-gravity without negative energy. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. We have this thing tested out several times. Everybody who comes up with over unity has negative energy. Everybody who comes up with anti-gravity has negative energy. Always in an open loop system. No getting around it. John Hutchinson uses it. We've seen Alexei use it. Both of them are saturating fields. That's pretty much it, guys. This is what we're doing. We are taking this energy and we're putting it between two fields. When you have two electric fields parted on plates, okay, we all know the effect. You put them together, what do you get? You're going to take anything that's in the center of that, if you put a center plate, and you're going to compress it into the center plate. Now, if you didn't have the center plate and it was aluminum, you create a laser. Okay. But what if it's not aluminum? You know what I mean? That you use it on the outside. Or maybe it is, but you have an aluminum center plate. What does that mean? It means that you're forcing negative energy into that center plate. That's why Alexei uses it. He's getting extra energy out of that negative energy. So your Tesla coil is doing the same thing. That rod down the center, you are getting and pressing that field in so it inverts. It takes that dielectric, forces it inside the magnetic, and it goes in there. You get negative energy. You don't get it by winding your coil the opposite way. You don't get it by using a PNP. You get negative energy by switching the dielectric field and where it's sitting at. Now that you understand that, understand the plates. We see it in the Tesla coil, forcing it in. That's simple, but it's a round geometry. So you got to get over the geometry and understand it's just that field. So then we get to the plates. It's the same process. It's still the Casimir effect, but now we have a center plate in there. So now we're forcing it in there into a plate that already has a ton of it in there as well. Hey, what does that mean? It means if you were getting 80% to what you need to have full lift, then that extra 20% is in that secondary Casimir effect right there that creates that cold energy, which imparts more of it into that center plate. You see, that's the understanding there. They use John Hutchinson stuff, and you say, well, how do you know that? Nobody understands what he's doing. Well, yeah, you do. You saw the frequency. You saw the frequency dial. You understand that he's using frequencies just like you would in a geometry coil. He's using a crystal cell. Oh, hold on a minute. We just said negative energy works with crystal. We said it has to be in a liquid type form. What he's saying is crystal cell has to have some form of moisture in there that stays in there to make it work. Well, that sounds pretty interesting because it sounds just like what this thing needs. Anything that has any kind of crystalline form in it, that has any kind of moisture in it whatsoever, works with negative energy. Say, well, okay. Then we also know that we have the piezoelectric disc in Alexei's device. You go, okay, well, it's getting kind of creepy, right? We have the piezoelectricity, which is basically crystal in there or, quartz. And we're imparting that on a negative energy in order to pull more out. Then when you do the test on your oscilloscope, you'll find when you put it in there, it amplifies in both directions. and you're going in the negative and in the positive on your oscilloscope, you start to understand, okay, well, there's another box checked. Okay, now we're getting creepy. Now, up and to the left. That's how everything takes off the plate. And you're going, well, that's the same way Lexi's does it. Why are we getting the same direction with the same parts? Well, it's because it's the same thing. Then you go, okay, sometimes John uses a aluminum plate and he saturates the aluminum plate. Now, let's talk about this real quick because this is a massive understanding if you didn't understand it yet. You have to saturate that plate. So John would tell you, well, sometimes take a few hours, sometimes take a day or two, right? And you're going, wow, it's taking a lot. It's got to saturate the entire inside of that, right? But Alexi pulls it off in 10 minutes. You go, well, what's the difference? Why are we having such a discrepancy here? If you understand cold electricity, it's very simple. When you hook it into one side of a light bulb at a distance, you're going to find that the light bulb is very dim. You go, okay, 20 foot of distance is pretty dim. All right, how do we solve that? Well, you put a ground line to the other end of it, and then it brights up light like daylight. And you're going, okay, hold on. The only thing I did differently was I put in the ground wire to the other side of the light bulb. And you go, well, what is it doing? Well, it's pulling the energy through the light bulb. So if I said that negative energy was pulled through, what do I mean? It's like a straw. You suck on the straw and you pull the liquid through, right? Well, this is the same effect. The ground is pulling it through. Why? Because it has a little bit of heat in it. So it's being drawn towards the heat. It pulls it in. So what's the discrepancy then? Well, when the gravity flyer is on the ground, it's grounded. Therefore, the energy pulls in faster. It saturates the plate faster. That's it. Your saturation level increases immediately. You're able to pull off the effect faster. And you go, well, Alexi had spinning discs and there was a magnetic field involved. Yeah, well, John uses Tesla coils on top and bottom to create a magnetic field. Sorry. He's creating a dielectric field. The same thing you're going to do when you put in a DC flyback to the top and bottom disc. You create a dielectric field in between the two. And what would you have in the center? Hey, there's a plate in the center with John's, right? Hey, that's great. Same thing with Alexi. Now we're starting to understand. We have the same parts, used in a bit of a different way. But when you can understand the two is the same thing, man, we are like way beyond good. We are now starting to get why it's anti-gravity. We have two people who have independently created anti-gravity. If we acknowledge both of them are 100% real, we have to realize a simple fact. It's going to take negative energy in a hot field that we live in to create anti-gravity. That means that your frequency is going to be much lower. Your energy input is going to be much lower. Because in hot energy, your frequency would be just like it grows the crystal. In microwave, hot energy in order to grow the crystal. But when you're in negative energy, it's less energy, but it still grows a crystal. Now we can start to understand there is a direct relationship here. This is why nobody understands this. Physics does not acknowledge negative energy. When they do, and they will, then we will have the complete picture. We'll start to understand it better. Shows like mine and others who bring this out and understand it fully will be able to tell you this. You have to create negative energy to get anti-gravity. You have to create negative energy to defeat Lenz's law. I took yesterday that whole energy when I did the live show and I put a magnet near it, and it doesn't attract the magnet at all. It doesn't repel the magnet, doesn't do anything to it. Why? Because my dielectric field is inside my magnetic field. That sounds like the wrong thing, right? You go, well, if it's near the magnetic field, then why would it not put off the field around it? because it's not the magnetic field that puts off the field. It's the dielectric field that does it. You see, so when you put it on the inside, what happens? Now you have a rotating magnet which puts off a field, but it's not being counteracted by a field in the coil. You see, that's the whole thing in over unity projects. You're still getting the energy imparted onto it, but you're not creating resistance in it. There's a zero resistance in it. Now you have over unity. Now you have what you want. And then how do you amplify it? Well, we already talked about it. That piezo disc. You push that button, man, double on both sides. There's an amplification. It's not a phantom magnification. It's real magnification. It's going to double that energy right there. That piezo is an energy doubler. So understand it like this, guys. We know how to create over unity already. There's some machines out there of people that, come on this show, like Mike's got one, Gerald's got one, Ben's got one, and I'm getting there. I'm almost there. But guys, we've already figured it out. It's not hard. We just have to take the time to listen, go through the steps, and prove it out in every single way.
Exactly.
Everybody's got their own challenges. Right, Ben?
Yeah, we've had challenges actually trying to prove the input versus output and the efficiency, because it's so hard to measure some of this stuff. But Michel just contacted me the other day, and he's like, okay, well, I got in contact with an electrical engineer, and if we really want to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to have to put the output through a full bridge rectifier. So I'm going to be working on the background and seeing if we can get any kind of readings like that. And, maybe they'll be more consistent. But as of right now, the amp clamp does show that it's maintaining the current, at least the AC current. And it's like timesing the voltage by 10 to 20. So,
nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, and we know it's possible. So, you know what I mean? Like, well, even if it's not showing exact over unity, we're close. But we're on the right track for sure, and I think we'll be pleasantly surprised at the official numbers when they're released soon, when we finally get some kind of confirmation.
Well, yeah, I mean, you haven't even hit all the stuff yet on there.
Yeah,
multiplying it.
Yeah, and there's still so many tests that I haven't run yet. Or experiments that I haven't yet been able to fully replicate, but it's a slow process. Some of it, we had a lot of breakthroughs in a small amount of time, but it's kind of slowed down a little bit again. So I think we're going to be seeing that in maybe like waves, frequencies.
Well, got to keep at it, man. Find different ways to expand it. That's what I always do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I want to revisit the test that I recently did with the Dual Thief as well, with the wireless pickup, because that I don't know, I was getting some weird results on that as well, and I'm like, maybe I hooked it up wrong, so I'm gonna try that again, because you remember we got like 120 volts induced wirelessly from coil to coil, and I'm like, what the, this is some pretty useful wireless induction right here. Before that, it was just very minimal, but yeah, I'll be working on that in the background, and I'm trying to see if we can, measure the current a little bit differently this time.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would say is if you can't get it just yet, you know what I mean, and measuring it out, find a way to amplify it so that it's completely obvious to everybody.
Obvious. That's exactly right. No, that's a good point. That you raise, and I think that's a good sidestep if that happens. So yeah, I mean, there's different paths we can take if we reach a tree in the road, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would do, man. I would try. That's what I do with my Tesla coils. Every time I run into a roadblock, I go, "What's the stupidest thing or craziest thing I can do?" Like, where was the limit that somebody kept setting on this coil? And then I look at it and I go, you know what? I got it. I know what I have to do. And it sounds dumb. But when I do it, it's like either gives me the result I was looking for, or it gives me something to the side where I go, okay, it didn't fully work, but this little part did. And man, now I can exploit that little part to make it bigger.
All right, you got a little hint as to where to take it next.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to link Mike here real quick.
Okie dokie.
If my mouse would work. There you go, Mike. I sent it for you. Anyway, yeah, we got to figure out little ways to do this. So over Unity is not going to be as difficult as we think. Don't get me wrong. It's going to have its challenges. But based on what we already know and the things that we're working on, I do not think it's going to be the challenge that we think it is. We've got a lot of different experiments out there that give you the exact answer we're looking for. All we have to do is follow what they do. They're not a mystery. Let me explain this. It is 100% not a mystery what Don Smith's doing.
We have all the right notes. We just need to put them in the right order. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's some things that you're going to run across that the inventor didn't want you to find because he knew he created more than what he said, and he just didn't want to tell you. So sometimes when people say, yeah, I got over Unity as +1, and you go, well, okay, but what else did you see? What was your +1 showing you that we should see so that we can amplify that? You see, you don't just get +1 in an open loop. It doesn't work that way. You're going to get +1.5. You're going to get +2. You're going to start to be able to amplify things, and you're going to go, hey, hold on. There was more here. Somebody left something on the table. And generally, they do that for a purpose because they don't want to get in trouble. What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Happy New
Going
Year.
good. Happy New Year.
Yep. I'm just printing off some cell cases.
Nice.
Finished one. Here, I'll show you what I'm up to here.
Let's check it
I
out.
gotta make a lot of them.
Yeah, I've been printing out you guys, your guys' cases for the Lightning Thieves. They take a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, nice! You already got 5 of them.
Yeah. So I gotta fill this whole case, and then it's gonna be all epoxied and everything when it's all done.
So it's gonna be 20 of them or something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to at least get 20 in here. I'd like to get 24 of them, but I don't think it's gonna happen with this case. Yeah, and I got my circuit hooked up.
Yeah, when you think about these things in your head, you know, sometimes you have to adjust when you actually print them out and see the dimensions and everything.
I'll show you the intensity of the pump itself. It's pretty high.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're getting a lot out of that.
Yeah, it's current, man. This thing's pumping current. Yeah. So, yeah, just working on that. Got my printer going. I just got it set. It's doing its parameter check.
He's printing the heart of Faraday research.
Well, look at my thing of all the stuff I have. I got this 7-foot tall cabinet full of stuff. Got the little Renegade on top. I got the small, large Renegade here. I got my signal generator. The whole thing's packed.
I'm surprised you don't have like a little robot to grab stuff for you from the shelf.
Yeah, I need one of those Amazon robots. Order picker.
I thought about building one.
Yeah, it's doable. Well, the great thing about a 3D printer, you can make your own robots, right?
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. You can print your own components, and there's a do-it-yourself kit and everything.
Well, I know there's a few guys here in the Toronto area. They're printing off prosthetics for handicap.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's totally possible now. You can do all this stuff.
So,
getting back to your topic.
yeah.
It took me extremely long time to figure out, but pretty much Nathan's got it. It has to do with this frequency. Okay, so to make an efficient system, you got to get the frequency up very, very high. Just look at what Tesla did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get your potentials up to a very high voltage, a very high frequency, okay? When you drop it down in frequency, you're like slamming on the brakes with the current, okay? When you slam on the brakes with the current, that generates your heat, all right? That's what they've based the whole energy system for the last 125 years based on this method by current and heat.
If I wanted to generate a lot of
And
heat,
hot.
low frequency would probably be the best method.
Well, that's exactly it. Lower frequency gives you higher heat, higher currents.
Okay.
But if you go extremely high voltages with very, very high frequencies, you can also achieve high currents. This is a very big misconception with a lot of electrical engineers. You can still get those currents at a very high voltage and a very high frequency. But the fact of the matter is, the utilities that we use today were designed, a lot of them, 100 plus years ago, because it's based on low voltages and high currents. It's a total. It run all the devices that we have today, like your car inverters, your batteries, most of your utilities is based on high current. All right, which is what we know as inefficient. The only way to make high current efficient is you have to change the frequency and up the voltage. Then you get your efficiencies back.
So,
All right.
so let me ask you this real quick, Mike. When you put it into a capacitor,
Right.
is it slamming on the brakes right then and there and driving down your frequency and bringing up your current?
Yeah, partially, yes. See, a lot of people think it's electrical power in the capacitor. It's actually not. It's in the electrostatic state. Okay. When it gets discharged, it now becomes electricity because now it's flowing through a wire. The second you put any kind of current, whether it's electrostatic or regular current, the second it goes into a wire, the magnetic field now is a factor. So in a capacitor, you have the two plates side by side, the dielectric in the middle. It's in an electrostatic state. But the second it exits through a wire, now the electromagnetic component is added to it. That's where the heat is created.
Exactly.
The second it's discharged, that's where the heat starts.
So it's one of those things that Bedini showed us, but nobody really understood what he was doing. They kept looking at the eye candy of the batteries, right? They go, oh my God, it's one battery to one battery, and I don't understand it, right? But the whole system he was trying to do was trying to show you the conversion. And
Right.
the battery converts it from a high potential to a usable voltage, right? But then
That's right.
you start rectifying stuff after that, man, you're golden.
Yes, exactly. So that's why, with Tesla, because he's working with very high voltage, very high frequencies, now he's got it in a state that he can convert to whatever he wants. He knows the second he steps it down from a high voltage to a low voltage, the current is going to increase. And that's where it becomes lethal in most cases, right? So, yeah, it's the conversion.
It's that
a lot of people.
When he showed the giveaway was when he showed the capacitor and he showed him arcing the capacitor. Because as soon as he showed that, you saw the discharge of the amps in there in order to get that energy spark to be that high. And with the colors that he got it out of. Well, it looks like Mike paused for a second. Sorry, Mike, you kind of paused for a second.
Sorry, I lost your signal. Sorry, I lost your signal. Could you repeat the last 20 seconds?
Oh, No, we were waiting for you. You kind of blacked out on us, so we're just waiting for you to
Yeah,
finish what you're saying.
I was walking outside and I went from Wi-Fi to data. So
Oh,
it takes a second to kick in.
gotcha.
Sorry. So yeah, when he discharges, you see that greenish blue spark. That's the radiant energy spark. Because the second you discharge it, well, 9 times out of 10, you're going to discharge it into a wire. So the second it hits the wire, now the component starts. The second it hits a wire. So
Well, everybody asks me how to convert this energy, and I always refer them to your system, which is put a draw on your cap bank, put it into the cap bank, rectify it. You said you could rectify it before it goes into the cap bank, so I'll let you explain that. But
yeah,
you rectify it coming out and see what you're in. You should be in DC by then, right?
right, exactly. But also it changes the electrical symmetry of the power. So say the source power from the battery, now you're able to, after it comes out of the motor, you put it through the first full way bridge, and then you put it into the cap, and then on the way out of the cap, you bridge it again. Okay. So now what you've done without any tax on the
Oh, he went out again.
that power battery. Now you could take that power now that you put through 2 bridge rectifiers and a cap. The symmetry's changed to the point where you could actually loop it directly right back to your battery that's feeding the system. It doesn't know the difference now. And that's the most efficient way that I found to change the symmetry. Loop your motor without it shorting out. And that's incredibly important.
Well, now you have it from the master himself on how to do it. How long did it take you to get that Renegade up and going, man, to that level where you can just do that and then amplify it with a piezo?
Well, I was working on it, I would say a good years before I made the actual discovery of the piezo and what that did. So I was watching one of the Tesla Tech conferences with Norman Wooten. He made the MRA device. So I watched the conference. So the piezo was stuck in my head at that point. I'm going, I got to try this. I have a hunch.
Oh, yeah.
I have a hunch. So lo and behold, one night I decided, okay, so I ordered those, the little wafer ones you can buy on Amazon. They're cheap ones. Nothing like what I'm using now. So I decided, okay, well, I'm just going to try shorting it out for shits and giggles. I'm just going to short it out on across the coil. So every time it discharged in the normal cycle that it does, I now connected the positive and negative coming off that coil. Lo and behold, I wasn't expecting that my voltage potential and current doubled on the way out. Instantaneous reaction, instantaneously. And I'm looking at the meter. I'm going, this freaking thing just doubled its power. So that was my aha moment. And I've been using the piezo. I've been using the piezo ever since. So now I'm using, higher quality barium titanate transducers, and I won't go back because of that reason. Because the piezo transducer itself is an over unity device itself. It's been right under our noses for like 50 years plus.
So, hey, hang on. Say the name of it again.
The piezo transducer? Yeah.
Barium titrate?
People pronounce it piezo. Some people call it prego.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm caring about the kind that you use. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, the barium titanate. Barium, it's actually a white powder. So what they do is now, the advanced builds that they do, they construct it into a ceramic form. So it's actually ceramic. If you drop it, it actually will break in half, which I've done once. And it's like, I couldn't believe I did that, but it happened, right?
Yeah, it does.
So-
It happens.
So, yeah, barium titanate. There's lead zirconate. That's another good one. There's a whole bunch of different types. Obviously, it is a quartz crystal structure. So it's going back to what you were talking about earlier with the quartz crystal and the frequency and all that. That's where it all
Absolutely.
stems from. Now, if you say a salt mine in the ground, you will actually see photon emissions coming from the salt.
Really?
Yeah. I have a dog freaking out over here. A lot of dogs in my building. Yeah. But yeah, you'll actually see photon emissions coming from the salt. Quartz crystal, if you hit it hard enough with a hammer, it will generate light. It's
Yeah.
Tribal electric, right?
Absolutely, it will.
Yeah, tribal electric luminescence. So that's where the energy is.
Exactly where it's at.
Mhm. So yeah, you notice your path now, Nathan, over the last little while. Now you're starting to crystals and the fields and frequencies. And that's kind of where I was going. I was going down this path, and it would lead me to a different pathway, and then a different pathway, right?
Yeah, well,
So
that's what we're talking about here. I was talking to Ben. You try everything, and
Yeah.
if it shows you one little ounce, just one little bit, that there's a give there, you go for it.
yeah, you don't know until you experiment and you see it in front of your face. You just have to do the experiments. You know, there's no glory for the lazy, right?
Yeah, well,
So,
some people they just want to know where to start and stuff like that, and that's why kind of we do on this channel. We build things, we show things, and I do that live show so people can see the potential of the energy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just say, even though it looks like I'm just messing around and taking burritos and lighting them up and stuff like that, it's
Well, what
the
you're
energy
showing
that comes
is
off of it.
right. It's etheric energy. It will gravitate to whatever object it has. If it has a water content or moisture in it, even better. There's a migration there of the energy to liquids.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what you take, and you pretty much proved it, with your whole refrigerator.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
But that's you're showing a certain state, the state of a certain etheric power. That's not magnetic, it's electrostatic in nature. It's the heavy side component, and you can do stuff with it. So now if you put a metal inductor beside it, now you got a, and then from the electrostatic state, now you have to convert it one more time. So that's when you put it through a high voltage full wave bridge rectifier and dump it into a cap. Now you got it in a state where you can convert it one more time. You make it either into AC power or DC.
Okay, so hold on. Let me do this because Ian's working on it, and I just want to make sure that we get it right. So, from what I'm doing right now with the rod down the center, how would you proceed in order to do an over unit?
Okay, so what you're going to want to do now is have an identical coil, maybe a foot apart. All right. You're going to try to get the two coils into resonance with each other. Okay. So the second coil is going to have a rod going through the center again. Okay. Now you're going to take off that center rod, dump it into a full wave or a high voltage full wave bridge rectifier. Okay. And then put it into a capacitor. And guess what? Now you could run an electric motor wirelessly.
Wirelessly?
Wirelessly between the two.
Oh, so one
So
would be like the positive, one would be the negative on that little motor.
Right. So you connect that to your full weight bridge rectifier coming off the capacitor, and there you go. So you got your Tesla 1 coil, your first Tesla coil. That's your transmitter. Okay. Now you're going to get that second coil into harmonic resonance. So it's basically an identical coil,
Right.
coil 2. Right. Now you're going to tap off coil 2, put it through a full weight bridge rectifier, high voltage one, of course. And then from there, put it into a capacitor. And then from the capacitor, put it through another full weight bridge rectifier again and hook it up to a DC motor. Now you can run a DC motor wirelessly.
Nice. All right, I'm going to
And
try that, Mike. I'm building coils tomorrow, so they're going to be identical. So we're going to find out real quick.
Yeah, you should be able to run a 12 or a 24 volt DC motor. If you got your potentials correct and you're in resonance and you got good transfer of power from coil 1 to coil 2, then all you got to do is rectify the high voltage, dump it into a capacitor. I would say at least a 200 volt, maybe 20 nanofarad or whatever. You'll have to play around with the capacitance value, but when you get it right, you should be able to hook up a DC motor and it should run.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be one of our first steps then, isn't it?
I got one video showing that exact experiment. If you go to my channel, I do have that.
I'll check that out.
Yeah, the problem was I didn't have the right capacitance value on the DC out to the motor and actually fried the motor. It had too much voltage going through it. But it did work though. It did run for a short time until I burned the brushes out. But it's
Try it and find out.
Yeah, fry it and find out.
Well, that just means you have more power in the system. So if we just go and we have DC power coming out, we can limit some of the stuff or amplify the other just by a duty cycle.
Yep,
just put it right through the duty cycle, and we'll be able to change the frequency, and we'll be able to change the amount of amps that are going through everything.
Yep. Totally possible. It will work. It's just if you understand the conversion.
So I got a 600 volt capacitor sitting over here. I'll give that a shot. Make sure I don't, overvolt something. But I want to see.
You could probably hook up a couple of motors to prevent the capacitor or your motors from frying if you got too high voltage. So you could hook up 1 or 2 motors to take away from the potential coming out. That way, keeping it stable so they don't fry the brushes. Or if you have a really good, strong PWM, hook it up to the PWM, and then you can control the voltage coming out to the motor.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's the duty cycle right there.
Yep, it'll totally work. And I've done it, but I didn't have the voltages correct, and I fried the brushes. But it does work.
Well, the good thing is we can just check the number coming out of it and see exactly how much we have, and then we can evaluate what we can put into it. Because if we get close to the voltage of like a saw, not a table saw, but like, a hand saw, something like that, we can just start putting it into an outlet and start putting things on it, put a breaker on it, you know what I mean? And start seeing exactly what we need. I mean, I would imagine some of this stuff is going to come out like 3,000 volts, so we're going to have plenty of amps once it's converted, right?
Yeah. So you could also hook up a ballast to add a light to it to kind of take some of the raw power coming out of it. So figure how many watts of a battery you actually need to control that voltage, get it down enough so you don't fry the motor.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act. You gotta fry it and try it.
Well, that's my motto. You know that.
Yeah.
Try it and find out.
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of stuff like everybody else, man. I got a bunch of old motors, bunch of old stuff that if I fried it, it wouldn't make any difference. So might as well. You know what I mean? Because I know it won't run without the amps. If your amps aren't high enough, it doesn't run. So
Right.
all the voltage in the world isn't going to save you if you don't have enough amps.
Well, if it's going to draw a lot of current to run the motor, what will happen naturally is your potential voltage now dives. Right.
Yeah, but that's the whole point of the cap bank is to put a stopgap on it to stop it from.
Right.
Yeah, so you're not
So
messing
it'll
with
be
the
a
primary
balancing
system.
act of what capacitance you need in order to keep that under control. So
Yeah.
just have a few cheap motors lined up because chances are you're probably going to fry one or two in the process. But that's okay. Frying is okay. I like frying.
That's okay. Hey, we'll just get it on camera frying it. I mean, what are you going to do?
That's it.
Half the stuff in my garage starts on fire. I started grapes on fire the other day.
Yeah. So it's just learning how to convert the power. Since you have a solid understanding of converting power from a high voltage, high frequency down to a lower voltage, higher current value, then you've got it. You understand how to convert because all our appliances are built on the old method. Pretty much the only thing you could run right now without frying it using the original power of Tesla is lights. Unfortunately, that's pretty much the only device we could run using that power without doing damage. But if you want to run devices or charge batteries, you have to understand this conversion process. As soon as you learn it, as soon as you figure it out, then it'll become a lot easier.
Yeah, then it's a done deal. We're pretty much good to go.
Yeah.
So,
and that's where you get the over unity because if you do a high voltage, high frequency, especially using the Slayer circuit, it doesn't take that many watts to run it.
No, not at all.
Right. So when you convert it and drop it down, your potentials increase in wattage. So that's where the over unity happens. When you convert back to the lower voltage, low frequency, that's where the over unity happens. So it's very understandable, in Tesla's methods back then, why he always worked with a high voltage, high frequency, because that's the only way you access, especially using the spark gap at that time. He knew the spark gap is the conduit or the orifice to rebounding potential off 0 point. That's where it happens in the spark gap. That's why, that's where the 0 point. That's where, because when you're at the nano scale of 0 point, there's very little voltage, very little currents happening. You're working at the very smallest scale of matter, and you can't go past that. It's a wall. So it's almost like an electromagnetic field. When a field collapses in the coil, it stops at the Bloch wall. Well, guess what's at the Bloch wall? 0 point energy. That's where the Bloch wall is. When you collapse that field to the Bloch wall, you're now ricocheting all that potential that you've stored in the coil. You're now smacking the wall of 0 point because it can't go past that. If it does, well, you've now just entered another dimension.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be interesting for sure.
Well, that's where the Schwinger limit is, and when you get the right frequency on that collapse of the field, you can break the Schwinger limit. That's what Pius was always talking about. And he says, and the best part about it is he also states, if I'm not mistaken, he says it takes a lot less power than you might think it takes.
Yeah, so no, it does. Yeah. That's what I was saying with this cold energy. The less power, the better sometimes because it runs better. You don't want to run it hot. Not at all. Your energy picks up in the way that you run it and how you balance your loads and your grounds.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why, like, I try to um, create the free energy with a device and dump it into a battery, because I know when I got it in the battery, I can do whatever I want with it. Now I could hook up an inverter to the battery, and I can run everyday appliances with it. It does all the conversion for me. Mind you, the inverters of today are really not that efficient, but it does work. So if you got an over Unity device that can keep that battery charged at all times and always stay ahead of the game with the power input to the battery, yeah, it should run indefinitely, right?
absolutely.
So
Well, once you break the system at the end, then looping back's an option, but before that, it's not. So,
no,
yeah.
you have to change that symmetry. As soon as you change the symmetry, then you can loop it back. Yes, but a lot of people think you can have a system without any capacitive value and loop it back and it will run on its own. I'm sorry to say you're sadly mistaken. There has to be a capacitive value within that system. If it doesn't, it won't happen. But if you return the power right back to the battery, yeah, now you've got a loop system. So it's just a matter of how efficient your mechanical system is, or if it's a solid state. If it's solid state, then don't have to worry about mechanical losses. But there's always going to be resistance in the wire. It's not a superconductor. Now the question is, if you were to create a system like this and take it into outer space, now you're working at absolute zero, which is minus 460 Kelvin. You're at absolute zero. So now you're working with resistance levels far less than it would be on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So you would actually get into the superconductivity state at that point. That would be very interesting to see how my Renegade device would actually work in outer space. I think the efficiencies would go up greatly.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as you super cool a coil, well, yeah, you're going to get less resistance in the wire.
Yeah. Well, it's a different world out there. We got to do it in the environment we're in. That's why I keep trying to tell people when we're in so that we can figure it out. Because I was talking today earlier about we're in the hot environment, so we're in the positive side. So in order to defeat that, we have to be in the negative side. So if you want anti-gravity, you have to look at the negative side. And if you don't know it's there, you'll never find it.
Mm-hmm.
So, by the way, that piezo is a transmitter and a receiver. So when you broke it in the negative right there, then it was able to transmit. You know what I mean? Or receive at that point. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was able to go do the opposite of what you thought it was going to do. That's why it amplified.
Yeah.
I found the same thing when I did it. And I kept thinking, I need to be able to push the button to turn it on. And it was pushing the button to turn it off. And I didn't understand it for a long time until I actually ran the test. And I go, oh, this makes a lot more sense. Now it's amplifying the double. Well, I turned it off. And I broke I broke the negative through the Tesla coil.
Yeah.
So you push the button, it shuts off the negative. It then amplifies the living daylights out of it as long as that button's pushed. Well, I have the ultrasound to it. Yeah.
It's pretty unanimous. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. I found out also there was only one spot that I could hit it at the right frequency. Yours is in your system, so you would have the frequency already, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm hitting the piezo with the inductive reactance. So I'm using the inductive reactance as actually the hammer that's hitting piezo.
Well, see, the thing with the test that I did was it didn't have it in there already. I didn't have it to use. So I had to find it in the ultrasound because the ultrasound wasn't the regular circuit. So you had to go over to that little coil, a choke. It's kind of like a choke. You know what I mean? The little donut in there. and find the frequency in there in order to get the doubling effect.
Right.
It was just based on the parts. That's what you had to do. And then it just took that Tesla coil and doubled it, man. So like when I put that rod down the center, it's hollow for a reason. So when I start putting that negative wire down there, and now I hook up my piezo, now I'm going to start doubling that coil. You see, that's what I don't show people. I've done it.
Yeah.
I showed them how the doubling goes, but I don't show them how I turn on my Tesla coil with it. You know what I mean? At a high rate, I keep it relatively low. But that's like a game changer in itself. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, since you get that resonant frequency, in some cases, the power demand from your power source actually can decrease.
I'm interested to see when we hook up that second coil if it amplifies that one too.
It should.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, because I figure it would be because it's high frequency. The one I'm using runs really good at 41 kilocycles or kilohertz. And yeah, because it's still in the high frequency state when it goes to coil number 2, it should have a reaction in the piezo. It should. Yeah. I could see it having it. Now, if it does that, yeah, that's great. Now you just put it through the high voltage full weight bridge and then dump it into a cap that can handle a lot of voltage in DC. I have capacitors that are V8 big.
Yeah.
They handle 2,500 volts.
Oh wow.
And, yeah, they're heavy duty. I got 4 of them, so I could really dump a lot into a big cap.
Huh. That's awesome.
2,800 volts DC. That's a lot of juice.
A lot of juice.
And I'm telling, I've discharged it. One time I discharged it at 1,000 volts DC.
Oh.
I'm telling you, it almost welded the screwdriver to the terminal.
Oh man.
That's how much potential voltage.
You're leaving that room with the brown pants. That's bad.
Yeah, enough to make you shit yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't suggest doing that. Anybody don't do that. I knew what was going to happen, but I didn't realize it was going to actually weld the screwdriver to the terminals. I don't even want to imagine what the amps were coming out on the discharge.
Oh, it was high.
I think it was well over 1,000 amps.
Oh my! Yeah, you got a welder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was scary.
That's
awesome. It was
awesome.
loud too. It echoed my whole house. That was a big bang.
Yeah. I bet.
That's just 1,000 volts. This thing could go to 2,800. That's what it could hold.
So I got on my channel right now, I showed sympathetic resonance, right? And it shows 63 inches apart on a Tesla coil that only puts out 3 feet of energy. And I put it 63 inches apart, and I was getting energy out the opposite side of the other coil, right? Mm-hmm. So the only thing was it had to be grounded. Each coil had to be grounded. So no power going to the second one, just a ground. Then the primary circuit had everything, right?
Yeah.
Well, I recently took it 20 feet and lit it up from across the room doing the same process. But this time I put it in direct resonance. So it hit the exact same frequency on the oscilloscope on both of them. And man, did that thing hum.
Yep. I can imagine. Yeah.
It was just the ground wire had to be on each one of them. That was it. And then you could put on very low power and get it to shoot right across the room.
Yeah, exactly. It could go great distances.
It's an interesting thing when you do it. So I'm going to have to push that experiment further and then do the recording on it because it's just awesome.
Yeah, when you do the motor experiment, like I showed you, you'll be very impressed with that. Now that opens up some doors to some new ideas for experiments.
You know what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to take every kitchen appliance that I can find at a yard sale, and I'm going to go in my garage. I'm going to turn every last one of them on.
do a toaster because toasters love current. Just get a crappy old toaster, put some toast in it, and try to do wireless toasting or a toaster oven.
Oh man, yeah, nothing's safe around me. By the way, when it comes to my experiments, I'm like a yard sale junkie. I go over and find everything I want, and then
That's it. And stuff to fry. Your fry
Yeah.
collection.
I don't tell them that. I always tell them, "Oh yeah, I need a toaster, or yeah, I need this microwave." Yeah, you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
you cook some hot dogs. Well, it is the hot dog, and they don't know it yet.
Yeah.
Don't want to be rude to their prized possession they're selling, but it's getting fried.
No, it's good demonstrations, just for people to understand what type of power you're working with. It's totally different than what everybody is taught in school.
So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a big thing. If you're putting in 20 volts of DC and then you turn around and you can start to saw at 115 volts, it's going to be self-explanatory. You beat Unity.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's no getting around that. You don't really need a multimeter. I guess you could put it on there for show and tell, but you did it.
Well, yeah, like just regular mainstream science denounces it, and they stay within their religion, and until that religion is willing to open up a door and look down a different perspective, things will stay the same. So it's up to academia, for basic electrical engineering, just to learn how to use power without killing yourself. Okay. But when you're really getting into the science of it, stuff that Steinmetz was working on in Tesla is just so far ahead of what, people want to work with today, Still a lot of principles are the same, but they just took it way further,
Well, yeah, because they were dealing with everything raw from the start. So,
Yeah,
they had
they're
to.
Pioneers, right? Pioneers.
Yeah. I'm going to push that same boundary, Mike. I'm going to tell you that right now. You probably already know that. I like to fry everything, and well, that means that I'm going to have a lot of success in not frying some stuff too. So when I get it to work, it's over. Because the next thing is well, all right, let's go take an air conditioning motor and go up to 220 after that, find out what we get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what the sad thing is about those things, man, is they're brushless DCs on the inside, and they convert the energy. So because nowadays they switched it. So why in the world they're running so much power, I don't know.
Say like the drone motors. The drone motors, the Outrunners, they call them the Outrunner motors. Okay, that runs on an RF signal. It's not regular power. If you look at the driving circuit of it, it's actually an RF transmitter. Now,
Really?
when you start up a drone and they said dee 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 dee, it's coming from the motor. Where is the speaker inside this motor?
I know where it is.
It's the RF frequency.
It is,
Right.
but it's the coil going onto the magnet and bouncing the RF frequency off of it.
Exactly.
That's how it makes it.
That's right. So that proves right there that they're not putting a direct DC current into that Outrunner motor. It's actually running at a RF radio signal.
Yeah, well, that's what Gerard Mormon was trying to tell us the whole time.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
He says
Totally
it's
different power. If you get the proper driver circuit for that motor is actually the most efficient motor on the planet. But most motor drivers demand a lot of current and voltage. If you get the right driving circuit, he's Gerard Morton. He used to bump his motors up to 400 volts DC, but his current level was like in the milliamps, and he's getting huge horsepower out of these Outrunners. Like,
yeah,
some of the motors he had were like putting out horsepower, extreme power.
Yeah, he was really putting it out there. He couldn't find a driver circuit that he liked. I remember that Mr. Mailback's package saying, you know what I mean, every week he couldn't find the right driver.
Yeah, Well, the driver didn't meet the specifications of what he was looking for. He was looking for something that was like not off the shelf. So he tried to get some engineering firms in China to actually make him a proper driver circuit. And, he had a lot of issues with the driver circuits. They weren't good, they were faulty, they were crapping out. So he was getting, the way he was very high strung and he was getting, very PO'd at some of these companies. And I think because of that, I think he burned some bridges in China as far as getting engineers to build the circuit that he wanted. He's a very high strung, temperamental Irishman. So that kind of worked against him. Like it was so true. A lot of inventors are very good at, the technical stuff, but when it comes to doing business, they're horrible. And he probably was the epitome of that.
I bet he was.
Yeah.
He seemed like that kind of a guy. Like he
Yeah.
knows what's going on and he's right, and you just sit there and listen and you be all right.
Yep. Yep. Very set in his ways. Yep. But he had a temper too, right? So that kind of worked against him. So I think it kind of burned some of the bridges with the engineering firms in China. So, and then he buggered off to Australia for a while, built a few prototypes out there, and then came back to Calgary, where he worked out of Calgary. And after that, he just got fed up with the whole YouTube thing and disappeared. So I don't even know if the guy's still alive. Personally, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know I admire the work he was doing, and I always wanted to build that generator that he did. The aluminum one.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Just
I think
I want to see what it did.
like the generator that Gerald's making, the one with the treadmill motor and the alternators. Yeah, he's on this similar path to that, just a little bit different concept.
That's pretty cool.
But
yeah, I was waiting to see that from Gerald. I haven't seen him in a little bit,
Yeah, he does a catering thing, so it's the holiday season, so he's probably been quite busy with that.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to go on your. I thought he was going to go on your show last night.
Well, yeah. Well, usually I didn't see him. That show was fun though last night, man. For all the stuff that we did.
Yeah. Yeah, Sean's like, oh my god.
I think it was his first time seeing the extent of where I'm pushing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that that energy can travel through any object that has, some form of liquid in it, right?
Yeah, well, the grapes was the cool thing. Hold on, I'll share a sample of that real quick.
My favorite was the hot dog.
You like the hot dog the best?
Yeah.
Everybody likes the weenie.
I like the burrito, man. That
yogurt was unique. That was a unique choice. I would have never thought of picking that.
It had liquid in it, and it was in the fridge.
How about a cucumber?
When I get one, I will try it.
Well, yeah, cucumbers store a lot of water.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's take a look here. See if we can get it, the sound and everything.
Oh, you can see it sparking.
All right, hold on. You guys want to see the burrito?
Yeah, show us the burrito.
It was so great.
Is it frozen or is it cooked?
No, not cooked. It's just barely thawed out.
Oh, thawed out. Okay.
So let me hit the right buttons here. My Tesla coil here with Tesla's one wire energy, and I'm gonna light up a bunch of frozen burritos. As you
Burrito switch.
the wire goes here to one burrito, two burrito, three burritos, four burritos. Then it goes to the primary of this Tesla coil here. I'm gonna light up a light right next to that Tesla coil.
It's not a switch, it's a full bridge burrito rectifier.
There you go. Look at that. My second
hot
Tesla
tamale.
coil is lighting up through a bunch of burritos. That's amazing.
Hey, you should do like say like hot peppers, like you know the chili pepper or something like that.
Oh, that'd be cool. I'd start rubbing my eyes and be in all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, I'll get in your eyes and you'll start burning your
I do that every time with chili peppers. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it hits you in the eye. Yeah. Oh, I had a burger last week and I didn't realize about the cheese with the jalapeno pepper in it.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh my. So I bite into this thing and I'm like, oh my Lord. That's a one spicy burger.
Yeah. Yeah, jalapenos get you, man.
Oh, they creep up on you fast.
Oh, man. So that's a couple of things. The one thing that I was surprised about too is we did mineral oil and we also did like cooking oil, vegetable oil, and the energy does not go through oil.
No, oil is a dielectric insulator. So if you look at the hydro pole outside with the big transformers, they're filled up with oil.
Yep.
That's the insulator, right? And also protects the transformer from overheating. So yeah.
So one thing we did do though is we did actually take a bunch of table salt and mix it up in the Crisco oil, the vegetable oil, right? Okay. And when you did that, it actually made it turn into a not a diode, but a resistor. So
so it was allowing some power through.
Yeah, so we got the light to light up with it in there, but we put a lot of salt in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it did light it up, and it did have a resistance value in it. It wasn't full power by any means. It was very little power.
Yeah, probably that'd be like a DIY liquid resistor.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see it, and Jarvis pointed that out to us and asked me to do the test, and we did it. So I thought that was pretty amazing in the whole thing. After everything that lights up in there, the few things that don't, he finally got it to light up by showing us what we needed. And wouldn't it go figure we needed some kind of crystal form?
Yep. So, yep. Even if you put has crystal quartz crystal powder and you add it to that oil, and if you got enough concentration of it, it'll allow some power through. Yep.
Huh. That's pretty interesting in case you're in a pinch to find something you can use as a resistor, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's why they work with a lot of ceramics, right? Because a lot of ceramics are dielectrics, but they add conductive material at a certain portions to get a certain ohm readings, right? Resistant readings. So it's all chemistry.
Yeah. Well, now you know why I'm lighting up burritos in my garage. We'll claim it's chemistry, not me just screwing around with burritos.
Yeah, the mighty burrito.
So funny.
Sacrificing burritos for science.
Well, I'll tell you what, it did a good job of lighting them up, and it went through things. And I even lit up my pumpkin pie the other day, and oh man,
I think
you probably eat it afterwards.
Did I eat it afterwards?
Yeah, did you light it up and then eat it?
No, the first time I did the burrito experiment, I ate the burrito though.
Okay.
I was hungry, man. I go, oh well, I'm gonna eat this burrito over here. Just a little RF in there or something, a little energy.
little
Get a little
frequency.
pep.
Well, you're putting power through it, so I imagine you might be doing something to the atomic structure of that burrito.
You could
So
be.
you
I don't
might,
know. I was saying
yeah,
maybe use like imbuing himself with some plasmoids, maybe.
yeah, you maybe you'll turn into the Incredible Hulk or
Yeah.
something.
Incredible Nathan.
The Incredible Hulk.
The old man Hulk. That'd be great.
Yeah. Gamma radiation going through your veins.
All from a burrito.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He was altered by a
nice.
radioactive burrito.
Yeah.
One lab accident.
The lab accident that he wish he never did. Messed with a burrito.
Oh man. I'll tell you what, man, those hot dogs work well too. You could just chain them. Like I could have taken like 2 packs of hot dogs and did them in there, and it still would have worked.
Yep, the mighty weenie.
Oh,
Never underestimate the weenie.
yeah. Hopefully, it's not She-Hulk I turn into because that would be a bad transformation. That, and by the way, that would be one ugly woman is what I would make. Big four-headed.
Oh, I got a movie that you guys might want to watch. It just can't. I think it's relatively new. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called Our House, and it's about this family. There's 3 kids. The oldest is probably his mid-20s, and then he has a younger brother and sister that are younger. And what happens is the parents get killed in a car accident. So, because the oldest is old enough to be, I guess, their guardian, they decide to just live their life, just the 3 of them in the house. So the kid, the oldest one, he's making free energy devices in the basement. So
Okay.
yeah, he's trying to collect wireless power. So he has this device, and he's trying to make wireless power, and he's not getting anywhere. But he doesn't realize behind him there's paranormal activity happening in the house.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's the movie. It's called Our House.
Our House.
Yeah.
Check that out. That's right up my alley. There's also a new Dr. Greer documentary out too. That's really good.
Which one?
It just came out like a few days ago. Here, I'll look up the name.
What, The Lost Century?
No, this is brand new.
Brand new. Because I know the last one he put out was Lost Century and How to Reclaim It.
One second, I'll get the name.
I know the Lost Century is being played on YouTube for free. So
Okay, check this out. I'm going to show you Brendan's experiment, okay? And this is paranormal right here.
Battle for Disclosure. That's what it's called. Just came out.
oh, okay.
Sorry,
All
Nathan.
right.
That's on
It's okay.
Prime or what's it on?
I don't know. I got it through alternative means.
Okay.
Oh. All right.
Pirate it.
Look at that TV and stuff.
Take it back. Like, it's not working. I don't know why.
Oh my God. That's some paranormal stuff going on in that house.
Is that like a plasma TV or something that he's lighting up?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Let's just look at it. It looks creepy. If you walked in there, man, you would be like
it's
running
okay.
out.
What's going on that you want to get
Like,
the hell out of there?
Poltergeist. Yeah. Well, if it's a plasma TV and he's putting out a high frequency plasma, yeah, it's going to light up that TV. Yep.
It turns out Nathan has his lab rigged like that, so if his children sneak in there, it freaks him out.
And they walk the other way.
Oh man.
Discouragement.
By the way, this is exactly how it's going to look when I start buying those toasters and start frying them and finding out. I might just buy a plasma TV with it.
Are they gonna start sparking and stuff?
I don't know, man. It's just creepy because it's like it's in a loop. It keeps showing the same thing, but it's driving me nuts. All right, we'll stop showing it, or else I'll have nightmares.
Yeah, like a nightmare.
Poltergeist. Yeah, but yeah, there's connection to it because even Tesla was making reference to the dead. Contacting the dead through electrical means, because he says that energy is still out there from people who did live at one point. That energy is still out in space. So he was working on a couple of devices that were supposed to make contact with people that have passed on. I know the Vatican had the chronovisor, and that was kept secret for a long, long time. Probably
Well,
they do have it.
That definitely wasn't it that we were watching. That's for sure.
No.
I didn't see the past. I don't know what we were seeing. So awesome, though, right there. Play the one with the music. I'm not sure which one that is. Let me. Oh, hold on. We got more. This is just bad. We're all in trouble now. I mean, look at that thing. It just looks like some kind of death machine.
That's awesome.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Another.
I was waiting for Nathan to show us a jump scare of some sort. Like somebody pop out and scare us.
Oh, yeah. That'd get you, huh? I told you it's kind of creepy. It's like.
You could totally do that. Put a jump scare video out there.
Oh, wow.
That'd be hilarious.
I'll have to hire somebody to jump in the picture because I'm too fat and it'd take me forever to get to the other side.
Oh, no, you can get a green
Be in
screen
slow
asset.
motion and not meant to be.
You just go on YouTube and get a green screen asset.
Why go to all that trouble, Ben? We'll just light up a TV like that, turn off the lights, and I'll jump in front of it.
And just scare somebody real.
Yeah.
Have
I'll
that
put
on
it on-
camera.
Put it on the shorts reel for them so that they can, you know what I mean, get scared as they go by it.
Actually, it'd be a good experiment you can try. Here's another idea for you. When you're doing that motor experiment that I talked about, if you have any way of like getting dry ice or whatever, I would like make some dry ice go up in between the coils to see if there's any kind of cavitation happening. And if there is,
I'll try that.
buy some lasers and shoot the lasers through that field.
Okay.
Low powered lasers. So I bought them on Amazon. They're
It's not going to blow up, is it?
No.
Is that
You got
would a little cat laser suffice or a real laser?
you can buy the small ones. I think they're 0.7 watts or whatever. They're small. They don't even burn you, but they make a really good laser. I got like 6 of them, and I did some experiments.
Isn't there a way to modify the lower powered ones to like?
Yeah, there is.
Higher power?
Yeah. You just connect one of the resistors inside, and it actually will cut and burn stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a little hack.
Yeah, a little hack. Yeah, tweak.
I didn't need the hack. I just wanted to know if the little kitty lasers are, because I had one of those. I didn't want to buy it.
But anyways, if you're working with that energy and you put dry ice in between the 2 Tesla coils, if there's some kind of cavitation or something happening between the 2 coils, then I would start shooting lasers through it and see if the lasers start refracting. You get some kind of time dilation happening there.
Okay. That sounds like an experiment. I'll try that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and do it with the lights off. It'll make a really cool light show too.
Well, hey, at the very least, maybe I can put pressure on that dry ice and get it to blow around.
Yeah, have it circulating somehow.
Yeah, like the plasma channel did. I can do that experiment fairly quickly, actually.
Ooh.
That one's not that difficult. Just got to get the dry ice. But I showed that with the high. The high voltage DC will do that real easy.
Yeah, And
I
it'll be
mean-
really cool with the lasers. If there's any cavitation in between that field, between the two coils, then you got the laser going through it, you can see some interaction going on there. It might be pretty interesting.
Huh. Got a bargain. I got bargain for $7 each, 2 of them. That's good. I need a couple cheap items like that.
Yeah,
I
they're on
keep-
Amazon. They're pretty cheap. Yeah, they're only like 0.7 watts or something like that. They're low power. And I have like 6 of them in my cubby there. And I was doing some time dilation experiments with that.
I'll have to try that. That sounds absolutely awesome.
Well, what I was doing a while ago, actually, I think I have a short on there showing it. I had my Bruce De Palma machine. So basically, what I did was I took the protective cover off it and I would spin it up to high RPM while hitting it with 11 kilovolts of electricity going through the end machine. Okay. And then I focused the lasers right where the spark gaps were.
Okay.
It's really cool. Yeah. Made
Let's
some
try
really interesting effects with that one. I still get questions about that Bruce De Palma machine all the time. I've seen a couple of Russian guys, they're getting maybe about 5-6 amps. Mine was getting 35 amps out of my Bruce De Palma machine.
Huh. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Bruce De Palma, isn't that the one where you started seeing the dark guy on the wall or something?
Yep. Because I was pulsing high voltage through the machine, and it was creating that current. And then I had my pulse motor beside it, so now I got a rotating magnetic field right beside it as it's just blasting this power out of it. And and also I was below ground. I was in the basement, and it trapped all that energy in one space. Yeah, some weird stuff was happening.
You gotta love the weird stuff.
Oh, that's half the fun right there.
Yeah.
To
I get
of
some of
these
that. I don't
stories.
know if it's. Let's go ahead, Ben.
I was gonna say we need to get somebody to animate some of these stories, throw them up there as shorts. They're really good, like how you saw that dark shadowy figure and all of Gerald's crazy stories.
Yeah,
Dude.
I had that room pretty charged. I think what I did, that guy that did that experiment in Alaska in the trailer, I think I kind of did something similar to what he had.
Nice. Yeah,
So
Ben.
during that time period when I was doing those experiments, I was seeing a lot of UFOs. Like in my area where I was living. Actually, I seen them in broad daylight too.
Wow.
I seen about 30 of them in broad daylight. It was right around that time when I was doing those experiments with that setup. It's really weird. Since I stopped, working on that, I haven't seen them since.
Wow. Hold on. I wanted to pull something up for you guys real quick. I want to show you this. Let's see where it is. We have some people that are really cool in the chat that make all kinds of stuff here. Sorry, just give me a second.
That's good. Everybody's working on stuff. That's the whole point.
Well, we saw this right here first, right? Like, send a shout out to Negative Res Coils. And we saw him build this one right here. Okay, but he has some other ones. So let me go back. He did a wine bottle. So that's a Tesla coil right there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So he's got a primary in there. He wrapped his wine bottle with wire.
Yep.
And he put the rod down the center. And that
Yep.
glass holds capacitance, so it's awesome.
Yep. Glass is one of the best dielectrics.
Yeah, he's got another one too. So let me show that real quick while we're watching it. I'll throw his link in the description for everybody. He just came out with this one right here. Let's see if this one shows it. I don't think I'm going to get the picture I want on that one. Let me try this one. So he's got another wine bottle that he built. And it's pretty cool. Look at this. He's got like 3 different windings on there. He said he's got a new one coming out today. This is awesome, man. He's got the rod down the center. He's checking it with the probe.
Yeah, that's a good dielectric glass bottle.
I just find it so interesting because it's so not like everything else we've seen.
Well, it shows you can use any household materials to make this stuff.
Also, age your fine wine.
Oh yeah. Now he may be turning into the Hulk too over there, getting some funky wine after doing experiments like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to throw it out, are you? I mean, I don't know. Are you?
Drink a bottle of wine, make a Tesla coil. Your wife comes up to you. Why are you drinking all that wine? I got to make a Tesla coil.
Yeah. No kidding.
Chill out.
I wonder if that excuse would work. I might try that.
Yeah. There you go. Just buy a cheap bottle of $15 wine, and there you go.
By the time you're finished with it, you forget what you used it. You're going to use it for.
Yeah, I was going to make something with this, but I forget.
We'll have to figure it out the next day, huh? When we're feeling better.
Yeah, when we're a little sobered up.
The wine industry is not happy.
Yeah, really.
This is not how you're supposed to use wine.
Oh.
I imagine you could do that with a beer bottle. You could
Yeah.
have 24. You could have 24 Tesla coils.
Somebody had
And
a,
one
a
night,
really-
he goes, I'm making them all in one night. I got to
Yeah.
drink all these
Drink a
beers.
2-4. Drink a 2-4, and there you go. You got 24 Tesla coils.
somebody had a really neat idea of suggesting to make a football-shaped coil.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be kind of neat. Yeah. Oh, man. All
Tesla
right.
made some pretty interesting ones. He made some like they're shaped like pyramid coils. Yeah.
Sean
Two
made a
inverted.
pyramid.
Yeah, the pyramid coils. Yeah, I seen that. Yeah, similar to that, but his was a little bit more flanged out on the ends. But yeah, like get 2 of them and face the points together.
There you go, guys. I just put right here. And there's his channel right there, guys. So you guys go over and check it out and see what he's doing. It's awesome. I check it out as much as I can, man. I always cruise by there and see what he's got going on because it's always something different.
Creative Coils definitely has a lot of coil candy.
Yeah. Well, he builds all kinds of stuff, man. He does it every day. Same thing I do. So I really admire that.
Yeah, if you're retired and you got the time to do it, that's great. It's a great hobby.
Yeah, Yeah, he's got some really good stuff. Good work, Coils.
The other good guy I watch every now and then is Slider.
Slider?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to
He
check
does a
that
lot
out.
of- yeah, he does a lot of RF stuff. I know there was, I'm not sure if it's Slider that passed away or whatever, but yeah. But he's got quite a few videos up there. He has some good experiments. So
I'm gonna have to pull that up and check him out.
yeah, I think it's Slider 007, I believe.
Okay. Slider 007.
Yeah.
I'll put that down real quick and write it down.
He's an older fella. I think he passed away. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did. But he put out quite a few good videos.
Good. Oh.
So I did get some results on that full bridge rectifier, and basically, the first rectifier I had, it wasn't using the correct diodes,
Okay.
so it wasn't getting any voltage or current. I put the neon on there and everything to test the load. Wasn't getting anything. So I realized, I have to up the diode to UF4007 or whatever.
Okay.
And I whipped up a quick one and I got it to put the voltage through. It's exciting the neon on the other side of the bridge, but I'm not picking up any DC current at all, which is really weird. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have to mess around with it. Maybe I have to add a capacitor or something. I'm not sure.
Do you
weird,
know
right?
how much voltage is coming out of it? Like out
At least 90 volts. When I monitor the voltage without the neon, it's like 198, 200, something like that.
you're probably frying the diode. Yeah, you got to go to a higher rated voltage diode for it. That's a mistake a lot of people make, especially like if you're doing like the coil stuff that Nathan's working with. You have to use like 10 kVA rated high frequency diodes.
So
because
is there like a common one? Because I have a whole bunch I have a diode kit and a whole bunch of
just type in a search diodes that can handle say 300 volts, 400 volts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I might have something actually. 300, 400. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. Does make sense.
That's
Why
usually what happens. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's a common. It's a common mistake. I've made it too, where I fried, my bridge rectifier, realizing that I exceeded the power limits of it. Right.
But it'll still excite the neon with the voltage. It just won't push the current through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's bottlenecked too much.
So that makes sense because I obviously disconnected the rectifier and hooked it up, without it and measured it, and it was,
was it heating up? Did you notice heat coming off it, or?
Honestly, I didn't touch it, but I mean, I'll try a different diode.
Yeah, sometimes they'll heat up.
Because that makes sense. It is a lot of voltage coming out of there, so.
Yeah, it can definitely fry a diode.
Thank you for
I'm not the only one that's going to fry everything. Now Ben's getting involved.
Well, no, I appreciate the advice because now I know what to do and how to course correct here.
Start a new club called the Friars Club.
Yeah.
Friars Club. Popping caps.
Microwave high voltage diodes are invincible.
Microwave high voltage diodes. I don't have to open up a microwave to get one of those out, do I? I hope not.
No, you can order them on Amazon. They got 10 kilovolt ones.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's so
those
cool.
are the ones I usually. If I'm doing anything high voltage, I pull out that high voltage rectifier and use that. It's the only thing I know that will survive.
It's so funny because the chat builds stuff like we do, so they know all the little tricks and where to find them, right?
Yeah, I've stripped down quite a few microwave ovens just for the parts. Get some good magnets in there too from the Magnetron. You get two nice, really good ferrite ring magnets. So rip it apart, find the Magnetron, rip it out. You'll see the two ring magnets inside. Just slide them out. You got two really good ferrite magnets.
I always tape off the little blue thing that's in there. Sometimes brown, but so you don't break it because that's really bad for your health if you do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I always tape it off before I pull those magnets.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you
Yeah.
want to do some high voltage magic experiments that you don't mind that those magnets get destroyed. Those are perfect.
Yeah, those are great magnets. They're actually pretty powerful for ferrite.
Yeah. All right, guys. It's been 2 hours, man. I think we're about done for the day. Ben, you have anything going on?
Not currently. I am doing more testing, and we do have a lamp that we're going to be putting on to sell as a do-it-yourself kit. With Michelle came up with a new frame for a pancake coil.
Okay.
So he's shipping me one, and then I'm gonna experiment with the board, the PCB, and all that, and I'm gonna show you guys hopefully when I get that in a couple weeks.
Okay.
It's gonna be really cool though. It's apparently he got the lamp to last about 60 hours, I think he said, on a 9-volt battery. So
Wow.
pretty
There you go.
incredible. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the coil is amazing. It's going to be a fun kit for you guys to build. I'm really excited about this. We need to, obviously, work out a couple things regarding the casing for the PCB and which light we're going to choose, whatever. But it's going to be cool.
So you're saying,
Yeah.
hold on, he made a casing for the pancake coil? Did I hear you right?
It's a new way to wind the pancake coil with his own custom frame. He made this frame. It's all his like design. You're not gonna find this anywhere else. Like he whipped these up. Like it's amazing. Like all the stuff that he's putting out. But I was really impressed when I saw it, and I'm gonna show you guys when it comes in. But I think you're really gonna enjoy it.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's really neat.
I have to get some speaker wire and make a couple more of those because I promised someone I would make a Tesla coil out of it.
They're really useful. I'm finding out now. So
That's what we told you a bunch of times.
yeah.
Well, Tesla worked with the pancake coil a lot, and he says it's one of the most efficient. And if you go to like Master Evo's site, that's all he uses is pancake coils.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
didn't he have like a giant one made out
Master
of like
Evo's awesome in the way he does things.
He's probably one of the top in the world right now for Tesla stuff.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Are you doing Friday? This Friday?
Yeah, Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, and we'll be doing our live broadcast.
Right on. The next time you guys see me, I'll be on Mike's show on Friday, and then after that, I'll be with Joe on Saturday. So probably off on Sunday, but I might do another lab on Tuesday. Just you know what I mean? We do our Monday show, and then on Tuesday, I'll probably throw in there the lab. And that's it for me. So
And then your episode of the sesh goes public on Friday as well on my channel. So we have
nice.
Yeah, and that's going to be exciting. It's a whole hour of just an interview with Nathan. So
look at that. It was actually a really good interview, man. It was really it was awesome. I watched it back. It was good.
there's a lot of good stuff in there, guys. So I appreciate everything though. This was a fun podcast.
Right on, guys.
Okay, thanks, Nathan.
You're welcome, Mike. Thank you. Guys, with that said, I just want to thank everybody in the chat. You've been awesome tonight. Sorry I didn't get your comments earlier, but you guys did really good, and I really appreciate it. Thank you guys all for checking in with us and hanging out, and got to see some fried grapes and everything else. So with that said, have a great night.
Okay, take care.
Good night, everybody.